Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm back with my plans and pans, the last one for 2023. And I have to be honest with you, when it comes to the Congress, I am not sorry to say goodbye to 2023. This has been certainly the most challenging year of the 24 that I have spent in Congress, but it has also been the least productive. That is not just my view. This is a fact that this has been the least productive session of Congress since the Great Depression. Only 27 pieces of legislation were actually passed. Now, you remember the chaos beginning this session of Congress. 15 rounds to elect Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker of the House. Never before had it taken so long. And then less than 9 months later, Kevin McCarthy was ousted by the Republicans from his seat as Speaker of the House. And he, along with Patrick McHenry, who was the Speaker pro tem, have actually left the Congress altogether. And then it took 3 weeks to get a Speaker of the House. Again, the longest time in history without a Speaker of the House. And now we have Mike Johnson. People asked me if I had known Mike Johnson. I said I had never met him before. And now he is the Speaker with just a tiny margin of Republicans maintaining the majority in the House of Representatives. But let me contrast this session of Congress with the last. I just want to briefly remind you also with a very small margin of Democrats in the House of Representatives, about the same that the Republicans have now, we were able to pass the most productive bills that we have seen in decades. Just for one example, the child tax credit, which lasted only 1 year during the pandemic, was able to provide families with the money they needed to make sure that during this difficult time that food could be on the table, a roof over their head. They were able to make it through the pandemic. But beyond that, it reduced child poverty by nearly half. Unfortunately, it expired, and many of us are pushing to make sure that we could reinstate the child tax credit. But beyond that, we saw the infrastructure legislation, the largest investment in infrastructure since the Eisenhower years, building in the United States of America. We also passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which did more for seniors, for the environment. You know, we made insulin only $35 a month for people who are on Medicare. We capped the cost of prescription drugs per year to $2,000 for people who are on Medicare. We have been able to start negotiating for lower drug prices. And then we made the largest investment in the environment, $1/3 trillion, much of which went to clean energy jobs. 14 million jobs created since Joe Biden has been president of the United States. The largest increase in employment that any president has done in such a short period of time. In that last session of Congress, we were actually able to make some progress when it comes to ending gun violence. We passed some legislation, again, legislation that had never been passed in the last 3 decades, but we have a long way to go. I'm anxious to see what most Americans want, which is to have universal background checks and a ban on assault weapons. So we have a ways to go when it comes to guns. Now, this last session in the district, we were able to achieve enormous satisfaction and goals. We were able, in the district office, to return or save for the constituents of the 9th Congressional District $1.4 million. Thanks to my incredible staff, Mary Beth Stein, who deals with senior issues and healthcare, was able to make sure that they weren't overpaying on things like Medicare Part D. In the district office, we did over 1,000 passport cases. We did over 900 immigration cases. We have done a lot of work when it comes to the post offices. So we are so proud of our constituent service and making sure that our constituents get the best. And don't make yourself crazy. I always say that. If you have a problem getting through the red tape, call our office and we can often help you in just a phone call or two. We made a request for community project funding, various activities within the district. It could be infrastructure project, helping not-for-profit organizations of over $40 million. We'll see what finally gets approved. We are waiting for a budget. More on that later. But we are happy that there is this new ability for members of Congress to ask for projects for a specific district. And I am proud to try and help the 9th Congressional District. One of the most beautiful places in the 9th Congressional District is the Baha'i Temple. And I have been happy to work with the Baha'i community because they have had discrimination for a long time from Iran. And I was able to get a unanimous vote out of the House of Representatives to condemn Iran for its discrimination against the Baha'i people. My hope is that very soon it will also be passed by the Senate. A bill just before we left Congress that I got out of committee is called the Ticket Act. Maybe during this holiday season, some of you have bought tickets for various performances and experienced the frustration. This legislation that has passed the committee and I'm hoping is going to pass into law because it had complete bipartisan support, will say that the price that you see at the beginning of the transaction is the price that you will pay at the end. That is it. No hidden fees. And so the Ticket Act, I am hoping, is going to have a very bright future and help families have a very bright future when you want to go and have an evening out, a day out. This year, I'm happy to say, my legislation called the Informed Consumer Act was made into law by the Federal Trade Commission. This legislation says that platforms that host online marketplaces have to verify that those marketplaces are legit, that it's not a scammer, that they are trustworthy, and that they are not the place where consumers can get ripped off, small businesses can lose money. And this legislation, which we had good support from the business community, especially the small business community, and consumers, want to know that if they are doing business online with a marketplace, that they are not going to be subject to ripoffs and scammers. Well, as we go into 2024, we are not out of the woods yet because we have not done in the House of Representatives the budget for 2024, which should have been done really months ago. It keeps getting postponed through a mechanism called a continuing resolution. There's 2 phases in January and in February to try and get all of the budgets done. And unless that happens, there will be a shutdown. And so we are very hopeful that we're going to be able to get it done. Certainly the Democrats are going to be pressing to make sure that we can complete the budgets and not have a shutdown, which is devastating for our economy and many, many workers. Over the holiday season, so many of us have been glued to the television, watching what is going on in the Middle East, what is going on in the war between Israel and Hamas. And our hearts have gone out to people both in the state of Israel and certainly in Gaza. And my hope is that before long we are going to see an end of the violence. We are seeing people, children, parents, innocent families being destroyed by the bombing. We've seen Hamas continue the antagonism with the state of Israel. There has to be an end game here, and I believe that is going to require that we have humanitarian assistance, that Israel and Palestine are able to live side by side as in a two-state solution. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to move to the complete end of violence on both sides. As you know, busloads of migrants are being sent to Chicago or even to suburban areas where people are just dropped off from across the border. And by the way, it is not just people from Central and South America, but a number of people from various countries have ended up coming across that southern border. And it is, of course, a very difficult situation, but the city of Chicago is doing its best. People are just dropped off on a corner, have no idea where they are or how to get someplace where they can get the care. But it is also very difficult to find the finances in order to handle in a humane way the people that are here. What we need is comprehensive immigration reform. That is something that I look forward to in the next Congress in the United States. One of the things that we're looking at is we need more work permits. I have talked to many migrants that have come into our community as well. And what do they want from the United States? They say they want a job. They want to work. And employers are saying they need workers. And so if we could get more work permits where people could then have a job, where they could take care of themselves, that would be a big improvement. And so I am hopeful that we're going to have a sane and sensible and reliable immigration reform process that we can look at. One of the things I think we need to do is to work more closely with the countries south of the border to see how we can actually prevent people from feeling like they have to leave their countries of origin, and work together within the hemisphere so that we can make sure that we don't have people just flooding across the border in a random way. So as we say goodbye to 2023, I am looking forward to 2024, a very significant and meaningful year when it comes to choosing our leadership. I'm thinking about it with optimism already, but certainly elections really matter. And I am looking forward to the kinds of legislative changes that will make life easier for most Americans and have a much more stable and reliable House of Representatives. So I wish you the very, very best in this new year. And the next time I see you, it will be 2024. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.